Well, thanks for having us down here. We appreciate the opportunity to share with you some of our experience and our skills and our approach to the project. It's indeed an amazing opportunity for the city to reposition itself, to rethink its future, to imagine how the future looks like the past but different, how you use this process to address issues you've been struggling with for a while, to build on the amazing assets this city offers you and offers the rest of the country and the world. And we're really excited about the prospect of working with you. So our team is a partnership between HDR and HOK. We're two of the two large multidisciplinary planning, architecture, urban design, and engineering firms in the country. We bring an amazing depth of resources to the project, and you've heard people list the skill sets that are offered. We bring those same sets of skills in-house, a phone call away. If we need to tap expertise in a specific area, we can get to it. HDR has a presence in New Orleans. We have an office on Poydras Street, pre-Katrina. We've been here for a few years, a big presence in Baton Rouge. We've been active in the region. And together we've been working along the Gulf Coast on a number of different planning exercises. So we understand what communities have gone through post-Katrina, and we've helped them imagine a more positive future and set the stage to make those things happen. We have supporting us an amazing team of local experts from New Orleans, in New Orleans, that have been working with all of you on projects for the last, in one case, 125 years. Creative Industries and GBM Group, our partners on the public engagement and outreach, have been working with communities on planning work for the last several years and have been very active in post-Katrina planning exercises. So we're going to rely on them heavily to bring us to the neighborhood, to understand neighborhood issues, and make sure that our work makes sense to you as we begin the process. Mathis Briere is an architecture firm with 125 years experience in New Orleans doing work in the city and in the city's neighborhoods. That these folks understand how the communities work, how projects get done, what's required to make them fit successfully within existing neighborhoods and existing commercial districts. We have other design and development expertise to help us out. We have Wisney Associates, experience in architecture planning as well as development projects. You know, Marcel is likely to deliver one of the first major projects through the Go Zone initiative in the city of New Orleans. So he's involved in trying to match a project and an idea to a specific incentive package to deliver a real project in the city. So we're very excited about having him and his experience now working through that process. Jeff Carey is a public-private development expert. He's going to help us bring these plans into reality, to take the big pictures and the great ideas and take them to a point where they're marketable, where the project is ready to be financed. We can match, again, those ideas to the specific resources needed to make them happen. Suzanne Frew is a nationally known expert on hazard mitigation planning and has worked around the country and, in fact, around the world, helping communities prepare for, actually, and recover from storm events, hazard events. So she understands, and she's our link to FEMA and the folks that we need to speak to as we match ideas in the plan to the resources and policies and programs and piles of regulations about how that funding is spent. She works with them on a daily basis and understands how they think and operate and can help us, again, match projects to resources. Robin Riley is a New Orleans native. He's been working in the city for years. He's done some amazing work, and he's doing some really fabulous work right now on the Mississippi Gulf Coast in trying to figure out how you fit a modern retailing system concept into a community. How you take a Walmart and you make that fit within a very interesting, sometimes quirky urban context. So he's testing those building types. He's meeting with the Walmart. Not that Walmart's the best thing for everybody. I'm not pitching that idea. But he's grappling with that question, and I think the key is it's a fundamental question, and it's a question you're going to be asking. As all these great resources come to the community, some of those are going to be a little big, a little strange. We're going to have to figure out with you if they're right or not, if they fit in the community, and give you the tools you need to help manage that.
Good evening. My name is Herman Howard, and I have the pleasure of presenting my firm, that of HOK, to you this evening. And part of what I'd like to talk about is how do we really focus on the opportunities? Right now, our firm is working with a number of different cities across the United States and even across the world. A couple of those I'd like to speak with you about are within Georgia, be it the city of Atlanta. And one of the things that we've really tried to emphasize is how do you build upon the best? And what we mean by that is, as Steve was saying, that there have already been a number of very well orchestrated efforts within the different planning districts as well as within the different neighborhoods. Our desire would be, first and foremost, to listen to, number one, what has brought you to those conclusions, as well as what those conclusions are that you've been able to establish within your own neighborhoods and within your own districts. It's a matter of listening first and foremost. It's a matter of being able to clearly understand what are precedents to look at in terms of the places, the buildings, and the areas. But most importantly, it's being able to build upon the direction that you would bring to us as your planning technical advisors. Secondly, this was something that we feel very strongly about, and that is finding the catalyst for economic development in underappreciated areas. And what we mean by that is we have a very strong conviction that part of what makes New Orleans so rich, one of the things is the culture. The people, the culture, the places. How do you begin to build upon that? In some cases, it may be areas of the arts. Other cases, it may be areas of education. How do you build upon existing medical centers? How do you build upon existing institutions? I've had the pleasure in the past few years of working with the city of New Orleans for a number of different projects. Those include Dillard. It includes a project, a mixed-use project in Lee Circle, right at Howard Street, as well as projects with the Housing Authority, primarily that of Imperial Gardens. It would be our desire to really bring out those important elements that already exist within your areas. Again, sometimes they may be buildings, sometimes they may be streets, sometimes they may be places, but really being able to celebrate those areas. Lastly, what I'd like to talk about is how do we begin to set the stage for long-term renewal? And one of the key elements there would be how to address sustainability. Part of our initial involvement in working with the city of New Orleans post-Katrina was working with the Design Green Bill Council, where at our firm, we've had the pleasure of now establishing and writing the second, what might be called the textbook for sustainability. Having clarity about the building process, clarity about building materials, as well as how to get these things implemented. So one of the major things we would like to talk about there for setting the stage would be those next steps of making sure that these decisions that are towards implementation will be long-lasting decisions. And I would like to introduce our team leader, that of James Moore.
Thank you, Herman. I'm going to be very, very brief, and I'm speaking primarily because I really want to emphasize that last point there. From plans to projects and investments. As Steve mentioned at the beginning, many of you have plans. Our job is to take those plans to that next level. HDR is a very, very diverse company. We specialize in things like public-private partnerships, cost-benefit analyses, economic development studies. Once we know who we're working with, we will craft that entire process so that it may start with a plan, but the goal is that by the end, we're talking projects, we're talking investments, we're talking actual built and implemented successful future for the city of New Orleans. I'm going to now end with Jean Nathan, and she'll summarize our approach.
Is it okay for me to finish? Okay, really quickly. I just wanted to add some emphasis to a couple key things that are important to us and we think are important to you. Without a doubt, those working with me insisted we say that we have to reunite our families. We have to bring people back who are not back. And that means attacking the housing issues more aggressively. Secondly, our neighborhoods. We want to protect our architecture in our neighborhoods, but at the same time, they can be economic engines. And if we do all this planning and we don't deal with creating jobs and looking for economic opportunities at the neighborhood level and give up on the city level where maybe sometimes we haven't had as successful an effort. We have to look at the neighborhoods for our opportunities, our cultural and historic resources, our opportunities. And finally, I just want to say that we've been doing a lot of talking, and now it's time for us to walk the walk, to put the plans under our arms, to walk into the halls of government, the corporate offices, the foundation offices, and get the resources we need to get the job done. And these folks can do that for us. Thank you.